Views and opinions of any of the guests of After Hours AM are not necessarily the views and opinions of After Hours AM, its hosts, its staff, or any of its affiliates.
Welcome to the After Hours program.
Are you ready?
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Now broadcasting live from the After Hours AM studio, Joel Sturgis and Eric Olson.
Can't shake this terror from my head tonight. Alone and forsaken, I bleed. A twisted vision, a tired mind, betrayed, a victim of shame. R.I.P. you're dead to me. You tore out my Frankenstein heart. A twisted vision of hell in your eyes.
I had actually a pretty good week. You know, we've had lots of ups and downs. There's a lot of stuff going on. There are a lot of story arcs, as it were. But I had a pretty good week. Things are moving along. Very, very, very excited. We were hoping to announce it tonight, but finally, in the real world, for next week's show, we will have a fully functional, brand new website. We got new logos. We'll have all kinds of new content. Excuse me, I just ate. It will be very, very exciting.
Well,
To have it up maybe by Monday.
that would be cool, and there was a bit of a hitch in the old FM transmitter, and so it missed some of our intro. So I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, and with me each and every week.
Eric Olson.
So there we go. Get that out of the way. But man, I have got the flu. I'm sure you can hear it. Everyone can hear it. Oh my God, it's like a talking from a tin can from Mars. It's
or
been
the bottom of a well.
Oh, it's been horrible. And a lot of people have been getting this darn bug. I mean, a lot of people are down to this thing. It's not even cool at all.
It isn't cool. I don't know. It's weird. I haven't noticed there's been a particular outbreak here because we are still very warm. I guess it's finally there's a front coming through tonight, and I guess it's gonna rain a bit and cool off. But I mean, here we are nearing mid-October, and we're in Northeast Ohio.
No, they're talking.
Still at a high in the mid-70s.
They're talking highs for the 80s for us possibly coming.
Wow.
So, it's not that cold yet. We were having a really unseasonably warm October, but evidently...
It's been very warm and pleasant.
Yeah, evidently the flu virus did not get that memo.
No.
So,
Flu virus.
Darn flu. But, today I was on the Facebook today, and I was talking to a lot of people, a lot of our fans, a lot of listeners, and everybody, for some reason, Eric, was talking to me about haunted dolls. So where do you stand on that whole haunted stuff? I mean, where do you stand, whether it be a haunted briefcase or a haunted doll? What do you really think there's haunted objects?
I think if, in fact, there is such thing as haunting, which I am leaning pretty strongly, in the favorable, I still hold out the possibility, not that it isn't real per se, but that it is a construct of our minds, which would not make it unreal, but would make it something different than we currently think of it.
Well, no.
Anyway, to answer your question,
yeah,
I think if there is such thing as haunting, in other words, if there is energy, if a personality remains, some remnant of a formerly alive person, or even potentially a non-person, if something remains after that person is gone, then yes, I do think it's possible that energy could become embedded or entangled in some way with an object, especially an object that had strong meaning for that person. Now, this could be two things. This could actually be the ghost, i.e. an actual sentient personality becomes somehow embedded, entangled with an object, or it could be a residual kind of thing.
Well, now, would you, all that aside for a second, because we've heard the stories, but would you actually buy one?
No!
Why not? Why wouldn't you go ahead and buy one? You can get one for as cheap as $35 on eBay, man.
I do not want a haunted object
with
of
free shipping.
Any kind.
Yeah.
I want them as far away from me as possible.
I've often toyed with the idea of buying one.
You are bolder than I.
Just to see.
I don't want this stuff in my house, and I don't want it hanging around. I don't want to tempt fate.
Well, I understand that, but I was kind of looking at eBay today after the discussion started, and I was, because I was given an eBay link, and I was looking at several of these dolls, and they're all creepy. I'll give them that. They have the creep factor, and most of them, a lot of them always. Well, I shouldn't say it. Quite a few of them show the old K2 meter right up to them showing a rating. Which, whatever.
That's whatever.
But, whatever floats your boat. Now, I'm curious, though. These haunted dolls, there's hundreds of them here. Hundreds of haunted dolls. That means hundreds of trapped souls in these poor little dolls. I've thought about buying one just to see what happens. I know my family members have all said, oh, hell no. There ain't no way you're buying a haunted doll. In fact, I said that to my wife tonight. I said, hey there, honey. I'm going to get you a gift that keeps on giving. Well, what did you get me? And I said, a haunted doll. That's right, baby. Christmas is coming early.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, I thought she was going to shoot me. I really do. I thought that she was going to pummel me about the face and chest.
I like, or I don't object to the notion of being able to visit a haunted object, but I'm very concerned about. I've heard just too many stories. Look at the story of the Dybbuk box.
Yeah.
The story of Robert the Doll.
Now you've seen Robert the Doll. You've been in his presence.
Robert the Doll in person.
And what's that like? Do you feel any different? Do you feel any spirit?
I didn't have any particular sensation. Now remember, that's encased in glass. Supposedly the whole building. It's at a museum in Key West, and that whole building has supposedly been blessed many times, and especially the room that Robert is in. And if you follow the story of Robert, he's not necessarily evil. He's just someone who wants to had positive attention paid to him, and who would like some deference. He doesn't want to be ignored. He doesn't want you to take liberties. So if you don't do any of those things, which of course I did not do, then supposedly, he's okie doke hanging around. I'm not necessarily sold on Robert the Doll as a haunted object. I think if there are hundreds of haunted dolls or objects on eBay, I would say a tiny, teeny, tiny, weeny 1%, maybe, just like in the real world, have anything to them. But that 1% or whatever the actual percentage is, I really, really don't want to mess with, especially if it is a dark.
Well, that is true, and we have several emails that came in, because I did put a blast out there for everyone to email if you ever had a haunted doll experience, and we have received several emails, and we also have a guinea pig that would let us keep the doll at their house. One of the listeners just Facebooked me.
Oh, my.
If we were to buy the haunted doll, you can keep it right at my house. I don't know, Liz. I do not know. I do not know if I would do that to you.
It's, sure, there's an interesting novelty factor. Sure, there's a research factor. Okay, what can we get this doll to do? What's going on here? What can we figure out?
Now, I'd want it to
don't
train
want
it.
any of it in my home or in anyone I was responsible for's home. Let's keep them in, locked up in the John Zaffis Museum, or down in Key West, locked in a glass case, etc., etc.
Well, now, see, I would definitely get one to teach it tricks. You know what I mean? Like,
Would
get
ya?
up and dance, grab
Backflips.
Yeah, exactly. Grab a Coke on demand from the refrigerator for me. I mean, come on. What's the sense of having a haunted doll if you can't put it to work?
Talk like a ventriloquist dummy. How cool would
Exactly.
that be?
That'd be great. Think of all the money you could make. But I have to back up a little bit. That I would not be. Actually, I will not buy a haunted doll because, quite honestly, if it is true and they are haunted, think of the turmoil you're bringing on yourself.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, it's the people who. I always wonder what the motivation is of people who sort of dive headlong into these things. It's like they're literally taunting fate,
And
fate
sometimes,
is not to be taunted.
well, we have a cautionary tale here. Cindy writes to us. She's writing us from Columbus. And excuse me, folks. Again, I do have this
Hey,
bug.
Columbus.
She was at an estate sale. She says, "Hi guys, I'm really glad to hear you guys on the air. Love the show. Love the banter you guys have before the show. It's always a pleasure listening to your show. Well, thank you so much." She hears us. She hears us over there, mostly at Dark Matter Radio, but has been picking us up live over here at AfterHoursAM.com. Well, okay, getting to her story, she was at an estate sale and she bought a cigar box. She says, just a normal, old-fashioned, just turn of the century cigar box. For its looks, she thought it was a beautiful gold encrusted cigar box. She got it home. Within a week, she had the smell of lit cigars in her home. And then more started happening. Shadows would appear. Things would get moved. The cigar box would be open every night. She'd wake up the next morning, the cigar box would be open. She knows that she closed it. She went so far as to put things on top of this cigar box as weighted objects, but yes, it's still open each and every night. After many, many months of no rest in her home, her and her husband decided the cigar box had to go. They figured it out, had to be the cigar box. And they finally got rid of it, and they gave it away to a museum that took it with knowing that it's haunted. This museum knew it was haunted, and I think that's part of the reason why they wanted it, was because it was haunted, she says. But either or, you really got to be careful when you go to estate sales because you just never know what might be attached to what you buy. Well, thank you, Cindy, again, so much for writing us. But yes, cigar boxes, sure. I mean, I think any close possession could have attachments.
That is an excellent cautionary tale, and I very much appreciate Cindy. It was Cindy, correct?
Yes, sir.
From Columbus, right here in Ohio.
That's right.
Sending that in. That is perfect. And you're not even necessarily really talking about a particularly malicious sequence of events, just kind of creepy and
creepy,
annoying and irritating.
you know, just creepy. I mean, you know, nothing bad. I mean, Eric though, he has. That's right, Eric. Another Eric goes there. Well, thank you, Eric. He writes that he had a near car accident because of a haunted doll he bought. Eric says that he bought a haunted doll knowing it was a haunted doll from a friend of a friend that knew a person that owned one of these magic shops in New Orleans, of all places.
Oh, my.
So he says, I buy this haunted doll knowing it's haunted just for the fun factor, just to show my friends during Halloween time that I have a haunted doll. I started my long drive back to Texas with haunted doll in tow. Everything that could go wrong on my car did go wrong with my car, including brakes failing. The minute I got rid of the doll, the car ran perfectly and the brakes started working again. I truly believe that there's something to these haunted dolls.
Well, again, I don't think there's anything necessarily special about a doll versus another object, although there is a line of thought, there's a train of thought that says because dolls are such uncanny objects, meaning they're in that kind of gray area between the humanoid and the truly human, so that entities feel particularly at home in things like dolls because they are so close in their form to being human.
Well, we all have heard the Annabelle story.
Oh, of course.
Or seen the movie. You know, and really the Annabelle doll was just a Raggedy Ann doll.
Right.
I mean, really unassuming. Child's toy. Who would have thought?
Well, that one, boy, I'm telling you, that one that one definitely absorbed something truly evil. And then, of course, on the fictional side of it, this theory has been explored in depth in the Chucky series of films, and the spirit, the soul of a murderer, serial killer, dives into poor Chucky the doll and transforms him. So, that's a little over the top.
And nobody can seem to kill Chucky. No matter what they do. They melt him down and everything. They cannot kill this darn doll.
No matter what.
Come on.
It's bizarre.
Take his batteries out. He'd be done for.
That seems logical. But, as we discussed last week, that's like the Geico commercial where, no, let's hide here under all those dangling sharp objects.
Exactly, but I do not believe, going back to that, I wouldn't buy one. It's fun to hear the tales. It's interesting to think about, but actually owning a piece of paranormal, I guess...
paraphernalia.
Yeah, paranormal paraphernalia. I would feel really uncomfortable owning that.
It's an alliteration.
Yes, it is.
And we like that. Well, I would too. So I'm glad to hear that we're on the same page there. See, the thing is, my progress kind of through the paranormal world, which we've discussed in some length at various times, so I'm not going to go into all this, but I have found that since I've really been back into the paranormal world and kind of thrown myself into it, and especially just doing all these interviews, so I'm just talking to so many people who have had so many different experiences from so many different angles and perspectives, I have a very healthy respect for the spirit realm. I mean, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm not going to mess with the Ouija board.
Mm-hmm.
Whether I really, truly, in my deepest, darkest soul...
Have you ever used one, though?
Oh, yeah, lots of times.
Okay.
Lots of times. Even not that long ago. Probably maybe 5 years ago. We did a makeshift one. We kind of made one. I had a friend who was over, and something was really troubling her, and we started talking, and she said she really felt compelled to have a discussion with a spirit, and she wanted to bring only the most positive spirit. She wanted to ask. She wanted to glean some information. So she said she needed my help because she couldn't do it by herself. And I said, well, sure, why not?
Yeah, give me a hand. Why not?
What the heck? So we did, and I didn't notice anything in particular and didn't get any particularly noticeable vibe at the time, but that is not something I would do again now because I know what's possible. Yes, absolutely. I believe that if you are careful and you take precautions and you protect yourself, both kind of paranormally and
rapid latex,
do it all. Just man, roll around in mayonnaise, whatever you got to do to protect yourself, then yes, you probably will be okay. But again, I don't want to tempt fate. I have too much respect for it,
Well, it's like the old saying says, if you don't want to find snakes, don't go looking for them.
Exactly.
Absolutely
right. So while on the one hand, this is an area that I haven't really resolved yet. It's really a very gray area. On the one hand, I think research is important. I think that we need to know more, and trying to accumulate evidence using scientific or at least quasi-scientific method and objective methods, that's good. That's a fine thing. You are doing the world a service by accumulating information and knowledge. But on the other hand, as I've just been saying, which might sound like a bit of a contradiction, I also have a very healthy respect, even to a certain extent, I suppose, fear. I don't know if it's fear or just apprehension, but
it's kind of scary stuff, man. I mean, especially it's the unseen. It's
unseen, and as you know, I've been to a number of reputedly, and I don't doubt it, haunted locations, especially doing research for America's Most Haunted. Went to a number of those locations that are in the book. Check out the book, by the way. This is Halloween, man.
That's right. Get your copy.
The ultimate Halloween gift. America's Most Haunted by Eric Olson and Teresa R.G. Check Get out. It is a
Get your
rocket
copy.
in time. Anyway, didn't mean to get into that. Sorry. So the bottom line is I've been to a number of these locations, and I haven't particularly noticed anything really obvious. I've had a few creep outs here and there. We did have an incident that I would definitely consider to be paranormal when we were setting up for the book release party at Willoughby Cole, which is almost exactly a year ago. I guess a year and a week ago now. Hard
What
to believe.
happened, man? What happened?
I never told you that one, have I?
No, come on, share.
All right, so I guess it was the night before the party, or it was the afternoon of the party. I can't remember which now. It was twilight though, so it was kind of just getting dark, but there was still plenty of light.
Sure.
So the place we had the party, Willoughby Cole, is an actual functioning hardware store.
Okay.
But it's old. It's an old building. It's been other things in the past, including Willoughby Cole.
Okay.
It's still called that, but it's not a coal supply place anymore. So it has, I guess, including a basement. Well, it's not really a basement. There's like a loading deck that's lower than the front floor. But anyway, there are 3 floors. So if you go up to the very third top floor, it's kind of rickety. And you're not
Sounds like a
supposed
good
to have a lot
time.
of people up there. The stairs going up to the 3rd floor are definitely taking your life in your hand. But we laughed, we scoffed at all that, and that's exactly where we had the release party, up the publication party, up on this 3rd floor.
Wow, where it's rickety and anyone could die at any moment.
At any moment, and we try to get as many people up there.
All to their
as possibly.
deaths. Oh,
We shoved people up there just to tempt fate. because that
Crisco
was-
and shoehorns, man. That's what you use to get people up there.
Just the kind of people we were. Anyway, so we were up there preparing. So we're setting up tables and chairs and doing some decorating. And basically this room is just empty most of the time. It's kind of a storage area. So off in one corner, it's a fairly large floor. Up on the far corner from where I was standing, which was right by the stairs that come up, and I suppose that is the northeast corner. So the west corner, we were looking off across, still in daylight,
Sure.
but the gloaming, as it were. We're looking across the room, across the floor, and in that corner, the far corner, there's a bunch of kind of like old computer equipment, just old stuff.
Yeah, it's garbage. Old stuff hanging
Just
out.
old stuff tossed in that corner willy-nilly.
Yes.
So I'm looking over there because something caught my eye. And I'm looking, and what caught my eye was a little bit, some kind of shadow. And at first it looked like a natural shadow. But then the shadow kind of emerged up from behind what I thought was being shadowed. It was like a plank or something.
Sure.
And it began to grow and materialize.
It was happy to see you.
It formed a clearly humanoid shadow that was pulsating. I am staring over at this corner with my eyes bugging out. Meanwhile, Kathy Weber, who is a sensitive, she is the other haunted housewife, along with Teresa Argy, and she was standing kind of right next to me, and she looked at where I was looking, and she said, "Yep, I see it too. That's one of our resident ghosts."
That cool. Yeah, I know him. Bill, get back
I
into that
couldn't.
coal. Get back in that cubby hole.
That was pretty
Wow.
startling. And then it just evaporated. Just as
Wow,
fast.
man.
Yes, it had appeared.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Obviously, we told the story then at the party about it. So, but really, that's kind of the only real definite paranormal experience I've had since I've been back in the groove over the last
Well, a
several
lot of these places are hype. I mean, I don't want to say hype, but a lot of these places get overhyped. In my
I
opinion.
certainly agree with.
In my
That-
opinion, they get overhyped, oversold. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're not great locations in their own right, whether it be through history or whether it be through whatever else. But don't sit there and say ghosts come out and dance on demand. I mean,
Right.
because I've been.
That doesn't happen really kind of anywhere other than, say, Disneyland.
Yeah, exactly. I've been to a lot of these haunted locations, and it was Bobby Mackey's Music World for me was not very active in my opinion. That's just my opinion. I mean, and I realize a lot of people disagree with me, but I didn't have anything horrible happen to me. And I went down to the basement. I did all that stuff, but I didn't necessarily believe that there was anything really going on, to be honest. And it could have been, maybe I wasn't the right person to be down there. Maybe it was the wrong time. Maybe whatever. There's a lot of X factors. But
yeah, there are. And that's something else that I've learned in going in these places and going with different people. It really is a matter of time and place. And I think people really do have their own vibration, or whatever you want to call it. I think we all have our own wavelength, right?
yeah,
And I think in certain places or with certain entities, again, assuming any of this is true at all, which I'm leaning more certainly toward the positive than the negative,
sure.
that there's something going on. And as a result, I think that, if you happen to be attuned to a given spirit or even to a given location, then obviously you're going to participate. You're going to feel something. You're going to be able to participate or partake in that. You're going to be sensitive to it. And if you're not, you're not. And I think that's a lot of what happens. Certainly there are people who are more generally sensitive, all the way through the spectrum to the Amy Allens, who are, hypersensitive and always aware. And supposedly Debbie Constantino was certainly a very, very powerful.
That's the rumor. That's the rumor I heard.
In her own right. She thought she was anyway. And so, there are certainly lots of people. We've talked to many of them, several of them at least, on this show.
Yeah, yes, we have. But that brings me back to the haunted doll thing. Now, could the haunted doll thing be a matter of perspective or sensitivity or be in the right place, right time, the right person with the right doll?
Oh, I think so. Sure. Just the same as any other connection with any other spirit. I think if you happen to be attuned to that wavelength or that spirit, or you're just more open to it than others, I think that's a key factor as well. I think even though I've kind of opened myself back up over the last 5 years, I don't think I've opened myself up to the extent that I was way back in my childhood and very young adult life when I had a number of experiences. I think I'm just not willing to open myself up to that degree because I just don't want to go through all that.
You know what? There is some danger with opening yourself up.
There's no question.
Well, tonight on the show, though, top of the hour, what do we got going on, man?
I'll tell you what, I am so excited about this. We're going to be talking about Halloween, but from a kind of a business and in particular retail aspect. We're going to see what's going on, what are the trends, what are the costumes, what are the decorations, what are the accessories, what are people doing these days? And my goodness, Halloween has just exploded over the last, say, 20 years or so. A number of factors have contributed. The growing popularity of the haunted attractions, which are just everywhere now. It's hard to believe that industry didn't even exist, basically, 25
No,
years?
it did not. I mean, best you could get is either at the county carnival, you might have a haunted house there, or a local group putting something scary on, but nothing nowhere near this organized and this profitable.
Or to the, the elaborateness, the scariness, the craziness, the extremity. I mean, some of these houses are so extreme these days, that, oh my God, it's like a life-changing experience.
I have heard that. A few people said it's almost gone too far now.
Oh, I think some have absolutely gone too far, at least for what I would put up with. I don't want to be touched. I don't want to feel a bunch of creepy crap in the dark. I don't want to not be able to escape no matter what.
The old guy comes up to you, "Hey there, Eric.
Oh, my God.
Touch this in the dark, would you?"
There's just no way I'm going to go through that. I mean, it's bad enough.
That ain't grapes.
I'm not all that freaked out by your typical haunted attraction.
Yeah.
You're used to it. If you've been to 10 of them, you've pretty much been to all of them. But there are some of these that are really, really pushing the boundaries these days. What about the one last year? Was it 2 years ago that was naked?
Yes, I remember that. We covered that.
attraction.
We covered that right here. We talked about that on the show.
Hilarious. So anyway, on the interview hour, starting at the top of the hour here, a half hour from now, in other words, we're going to have, and this is his real name, Atticus Red Ghost, who is the proprietor of the Evil Supply Company. How's that for Halloween? Oh, my God. That is the best. And we're going to go right here. I'm in actually Aurora, Ohio, suburban Cleveland. And we've had a retail store just independently owned. Just one guy owns the place. And it's been going for decades. And it's called the Odyssey. And it is a real brick and mortar shop. Of course, they have a website and they do business that way. But they still have the largest selection of costumes that I've seen anywhere, including any of the chains, any of the pop-up stores, and the widest variety. And so the owner of that, his name is Mark Hain. He will also be joining us from right here in good old Aurora, Ohio. And we'll be talking about Halloween from a very specific retail one shop, just one guy, one provider outlet who's run this for many, many years, decades and decades. And we'll be talking to him about the changes that he's seen, what's hot now. And hopefully we may have a person stopping in from Redbox to talk about what are the most popular, what are the hottest Halloween movies, whether they be horror movies or TV shows, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
All that and more.
All that and more in the 10 o'clock Eastern to 11 hour.
All right, man. We got to get to break. We come back. You're America's Most Haunted Headlines. Don't go anywhere.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If pop culture is to be believed, roughly 40% of all people are actually vampires, or dating one. Well, undead or not, you can always save on a clean, comfortable room at Motel 6, even if you sleep during the day because direct sunlight turns you into a pile of sparkly coffee grounds. Speaking of which, we have free coffee every morning. You day sleepers may want to go for the decaf. I'm Tom Bodette, and we'll leave the light on for you. Book online at motel6.com.
Ghosts.
Hello, Ghostbusters.
They're real.
You do?
They're mean.
You have?
They're here. Ghostbusters.
Hey, anybody see a ghost?
They catch the ghost that won't stay dead. They're armed. They're dangerous.
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
All right, that's bad. Okay. All right, important safety tip. Thanks, Egon.
They're professionals.
Oh. I'm the chairman of the largest paranormal removal company in America. You see it?
They're all that stands between you and the end of the world.
The city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion. Real wrath of God type stuff. Exactly. Fire and brimstone coming down from the sky. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria. Your girlfriend lives in the corner penthouse of Spook Central.
You want this body?
Is this a trick question?
Got a stick? Hold! Beat him up! Smoke him! Make him hard! Ready!
Ghostbusters. Starring Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis, Rick Moranis. Coming to save the world this summer. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters.
We came, we saw, we kicked it.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
I got a rather serious problem over here.
All right, what are we looking at?
Cranky mother-in-law, asleep on the couch, in the man cave.
Dear God.
It gets worse.
That's impossible.
She's passed out on the remote.
I stand corrected.
What do I do?
Okay, I want you to grab a Torin Big Red hydraulic bottle jack.
Okay.
Now you wedge that bad boy in under your mother-in-law and crank her up skyward.
It's working. And got the remote.
Great. Now grab that Torin Big Red 2-ton folding shop crane and put that woman on wheels.
And away we go.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Do you have a question for our guest tonight? Don't feel like calling the show? Not a problem. Email those questions to afterhoursam@gmail.com. Again, that's afterhoursam@gmail.com. And welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me,
Eric Olson.
and we discussed before we left the haunted doll situation, and we both agree we're not buying one anytime soon. But
we are not.
No.
It would be a waste of funds.
It would be a waste of funds.
It would be tempting fate.
We would be tempting fate and tempting our wives to beat us about the face and chest.
Or even the face and neck.
No, that's true. That's also there. But let's get on it, man. America's most haunted headlines.
Absolutely. Always my pleasure. I enjoy the heck out of that. I have to admit. Well, my most recent tweet, of course, is on @AMHaunted. Please join us and read along, because then you can click the links and whatnot. Most recent tweets about the show right now. How self-referential is that?
Yeah, man. It's like they knew we were going to be on there. It's
All
kind
right,
of weird.
so I want to get your opinion on this, Joel. Check
Okay.
out the next one. West Midlands, UK woman on her iPhone
heck
snapped
is
an image
that?
of what she believes to be an 18th century ghost boy
I
or
don't
some
know.
such thing. I am looking. We got two pictures. We have the wider frame, which is the picture she took, the full picture she took, and
Yeah.
then we have the zeroing in on the perceived entity. To me, it looks like something to do with the light.
I'd agree, because I see a big light source right behind there. If you look in your right-hand corner,
Right.
you could definitely see where it's going to come in and impact
Shining
whatever.
through. I think that's what
Yep.
it is.
Yep.
Good old pareidolia.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's
what I think.
It's somewhat humanoid in shape, but
Yeah. But you know what? You know, in all honesty, it looks like this ghost boy, if I were to let pareidolia take over, is doing the Michael Jackson, as in grabbing a part of his anatomy.
it does look like that. He's kind of spreading his legs. And
Yeah,
grabbing his
what
back.
Michael Jackson used to do. Exactly.
All right, the next one down.
Billie
How cool is that? I
Jean.
love that we can now do GIFs. I always thought it was GIF, but apparently it's GIF.
Well, it is good peanut butter.
According to those in the know, I've been told now, don't sound like a dumbass and call it a GIF. So anyway, it's a GIF. So we're seeing the process, the growth process from seedling to award-winning monster
Man,
pumpkin.
I want one of those giant pumpkins too.
They are so huge and amazing. I love them. They're crazy.
Did you ever buy one?
No, not huge.
Think of all the pies you could make after Halloween.
Forever. But how do you get it home?
Well, yeah, you need a truck. You need a couple really strong guys or a forklift. You need something.
Yeah, I think you need a forklift. That is for sure.
That's
so,
big.
did you watch American Horror Story Hotel last night?
Sadly, no.
Well, it was absolutely crazy.
I'm
It was
catching it,
the
though, next week.
Most unhinged American Horror Story, I'd say episode anyway, but, it's setting the tone for the whole series, obviously, for the season, in this first episode. And it was just insane. And I would say, if you look at the next picture, which is Lady Gaga from her Instagram account, flipping us all off.
Yeah.
In character as the Countess with blood all over her and a cigarette dangling from her mouth, that sets the tone pretty well for the show.
Is she a good actress? See, I'm going to catch it. See, I had to watch a movie called Dark as the Night. I had a review of Dark as the Night, the movie. It's on Netflix, of course. I had to watch that, and it was a really good movie, by the way. Everyone go check it out. It's a decent flick. You're going to love it. It's basically it's a creature feature type film. Just came out. Anyhow, check that out. Dark as the Night. You'll love it. So I was watching that. I didn't get a chance to catch them, and I don't own a DVR. I know I should really step into the 21st.
How's that possible? You don't have cable, huh?
I have cable. I just don't own a DVR because I just never got around to. Well, because every time I think about getting a DVR, something else pops into my head, and I'm off working on that project. Because quite honestly, my cable company sucks. Okay, to be honest with you.
They will provide you with a DVR?
Oh, they will, but you have to wait 4 months for a tech to come out and put it in.
Oh, my Lord.
And so it's like, do I really want to wait the 4 months, and wait for this tech to come into my
I'll tell you,
house?
I couldn't live without my DVR because I hardly watch anything in real time. About the only thing we watch, anyone in the family, about the only thing we watch in real time would be sports.
Yes. Well, hey, man, I'm right there with you. I've thought about getting the DVR thing. I really have. I think it'd be great, but, I don't watch a lot of TV, to be completely honest with you. I got a ton of kids. I work a ton of hours. My gosh, when do I have time to sit? I'm a busy guy.
I want to answer your question about is she a good actress? She's a very strong and charismatic persona.
Okay.
I don't know that she's an actress per se, but she certainly commands the screen. Put it that way.
I could see that about her. Just her
I've seen
mere
her,
presence.
which of course is not news. Her acting presence, because this is the first. I think she had some really brief appearance in something else that no one even noticed. But
sure.
But this is clearly a starring role. She's been compared to Madonna, and Madonna mostly has sucked as an actress.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would not want to be compared to Madonna.
She was good. It was kind of in the same way that Lady Gaga's good, namely as a charismatic and very strong persona.
And it's a name. Really, it's a name.
It's a huge name. Yeah, I will be curious to see how she handles the role. It's such an extreme role. She's basically a vampire. All I've seen her do so far, literally, is various sex positions with various people and entities, and kill them. That's all I've seen.
Did she happen to own a haunted doll? I don't know, but really,
she kills everyone with her super sharp metal fingernail thing that she pops on the end of her
Interesting.
finger.
I'm gonna be checking that out. I'll be checking out because I know you can catch all these episodes right online as well. So I'm gonna have to.
That's right. Yes. FX is very good about that.
Yeah, I'll be checking it out.
I think within a day or two after it airing. Yeah, check it out. She's not even on for about the first I don't know, at least half hour. And this premiere episode is 90 minutes. I actually haven't finished it. I think we still have about 20 minutes left to go because we fell asleep because we were just so tired last night. But anyway, it was just unhinged, and it was perverse, and it was violent, and it was vile. But it was very, very stylish.
Well, I would imagine it would be because that has been the hallmark of that franchise.
Is there a plot? I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll see as we move on.
I cannot tell you at this point if there is, in fact, a plot. It seemed like kind of an almost unconnected series of MTV videos. And I mean that kind of in a good way, because it certainly held my attention with the visuals. And
but when does
music.
that get old, though? If that's going to be a substance of the show, it'd be like, okay, I've already seen this show before.
No doubt about it. It could get old. So we'll have to see. It'll be interesting. And it'll be interesting to see if she grows as an actress. So far, she has shown nothing that you would perceive as sympathetic. I mean, she's just really kind of vile thus far.
Yeah.
So we'll see, because eventually she's going to have to show some element or draw some element of sympathy or empathy from the audience, or you'll just end up hating her.
But it's going to get overshadowed anyway because the 11th is right around the corner. And what do you think premieres on the 11th?
I'm guessing
The Walking Dead.
That one show, the one about zombies that never uses the name.
Yeah, exactly. The Walking Dead, man, they're coming at you on the 11th.
I like the ending of Fear the Walking Dead, by the way.
Yeah, that was a good show. It was a very good show.
It wrapped up well, I think, and it left us intrigued anyway for next season. I mean, it's a whole year away almost, but instead of only 6 episodes next summer, I think it's going to be more like 14 or something. It's at least double, so they'll get into a lot more.
A full
depth.
run. It'll actually be a full series rather than just being the 6-episode teaser.
Yeah, it really has been pretty much a teaser. All right, so moving on beyond Lady Gaga flipping us off, great news. I love this. The new X-Files, and that's only going to be 6 episodes too, by the way, this reboot of the X-Files that starts in January, with every single original
And that's
cast.
the way it should be done right there. They're going to bring it back.
One of them. I mean, they've named 10 people now who were in the original cast who are coming back, and all the main people for sure. So, but the opening credits is going to be exactly the same. They're even going to use their original pictures from 25 years ago when they looked a lot younger.
That'll be interesting. I will be watching that one for sure because I was a big fan of the X-Files.
Me too. Especially, until Duchovny drifted away.
Well, yeah, and the Doggett took his place, and it got really weird. And
just they kind of, like most shows that go on too long.
It fizzled.
It fizzled. Just kind of, they ran out of stuff to do. But that original show with Duchovny and Jillian, who had a huge crush on, that was a great show.
She was so
actually
hot.
liked the movies pretty well, too.
Yeah, they weren't bad. They translate very well in the movies.
Moving to the skies tonight, starting probably about now, at least in the East, and into the wee hours, into the hours of the 9th. Or no, wait, what's today?
Today is the 8th.
Yeah, that's right. So I was right. So it's the evening of the 8th into the 9th. We have the Draconid meteor shower.
The
Draconid, coming from the constellation Draco, hence the name.
Dread the Draconid.
The Draconid. So if you have a clear sky out tonight, take a look. You may catch a meteor. And by the way, this amazing picture that we have, that is a composite of all the meteors over the course of an evening.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the pictures. It's kind of mind-blowing, man.
Yeah, if you saw that, holy cats.
Yeah.
At one time, you'd lose your mind.
Oh, by the way,
Speaking of The Walking Dead, our next post, moving down, and we're referencing the America's Most Haunted Twitter account, which is at AM Haunted for our paranormal news. Real cool. I don't necessarily agree with them all, but I probably agree with most of them. There's a list coming from Rolling Stone of the 10, I believe it's 10, favorite, which really means most disgusting or disturbing of the zombies in the history of The Walking Dead. Guess what's number 1?
What is number 1?
It's easier. It's intuitive. It was the first.
Oh yeah, the little girl. That was the worst.
And speaking of which, what a coincidence! She is now 15, and she's been putting out pictures of herself, as do all 15-year-olds.
Sure.
On social media, and we put that up yesterday. And she's a lovely young woman of 15 now, and she's not even a zombie.
Well, that's good to know.
Her name is Addie Miller.
See, I would have thought the bicyclist one would have been the grossest one. That in that first episode or whatever it was, and the girl that they called a bicycle rider or something.
Yes.
And that was just kind of
funny that the zombies have names,
Yeah, I mean,
the one I picked and the one the picture is of on the tweet was the bloated well zombie.
Yeah, that's gross, right? That's just disgusting, man. I mean, that show, I like the show, I do, but man, it gets a little over the top at times.
Well, they do not, they are not cheap with the gore.
No, they are not. And that's all right, too, because they pushed all the envelopes for cable TV.
So do you realize that yesterday it was the day before, was supposed to be the end of the world?
Yes.
Yet another apocalyptic prediction.
Yes, everyone was telling me we're all going to be dead, all going to be toast, done for. It
And
came
yet
and it
here
went.
we are.
Yeah, and here we are, still doing the show. We didn't die.
The tweet is a link to a really cool, it's actually a very interesting story from The Verge, the site The Verge, that is a history of all the various apocalyptic predictions.
Oh boy.
None of which, thus far, have come true.
Oh my gosh. If I had a nickel, really, if I had a nickel for every time someone's telling me the world was ending. Come on, I thought 2012 was supposed to be it for us. Remember that?
Oh, it's endless. Of course,
Y2K was supposed to.
calendar,
Yeah, Y2K was supposed to end us too. That didn't happen.
On and on and on and on. It's endless.
It is endless.
How many times do people find predictions of the end of the world at various points in time in Nostradamus? It's endless.
I think that man wants to, for some weird reason, wants to do himself in.
Or maybe it's kind of the reverse mentality, the reverse psychology of horror movies and whatnot, where you want to face your fears, and having done so, you feel an exhilaration.
That's true, too. That's true. It just seems like we have a lot of these crackpots showing up. The end is nigh. We're all going to die. No, we're not. All right? Just have a Coke and a smile. Relax. We're all going to be here tomorrow.
You might as well assume you're not going to go away. And then if you do, you do. Whatever. There's nothing you can do about it anyway.
How are you going to know? You know what I mean?
You're not going to know. Exactly right. Hey, do you know who Ray Harryhausen is?
Yes. Yes, I do.
He was kind of the original and maybe even to this day most famous pioneer of the special effects. Of course,
Yes.
practical effects. Completely prior to the digital era.
Oh, yeah.
And
him and Tom
so
Savini,
a whole
man.
bunch of his models and original drawings and whatnot are going on the auction block.
Oh, we should buy some of those.
We should. I love Ray Harryhausen.
We really should. You know who else I always liked or I appreciated his work, and he came after, of course, Tom Savini.
Oh, yes.
I thought that, and he obviously drew a lot from Ray, but I mean, it was the days before.
Yeah, it's kind of an unbroken succession. Sure, he goes back. Yeah, he's amazing. He has a school, you know.
Really? Interesting.
He teaches creature design and horror makeup and whatnot. Yeah. In fact, one of the survivors, I think they're down to 5 or 6 now on the current season of Face Off, she made a really big point of saying that she was a graduate of his school. And I'll tell you what, she has been, I think, the best prepared, especially because she's very young. She's early 20s.
Sure.
She's been the best prepared contestant on throughout the whole season. So clearly going to that school has
It did it for her, man.
Good stead.
Yeah, it did it for her. She came prepared.
She is. She could very well win. It's Nora. I'm a big fan. Nora, yay, like you. All right, moving on. This is super creepy. There's like 1,000 square mile exclusion area around Chernobyl.
Really? I've heard that.
To this day, no people allowed. Everyone was cleared out. And it has just become a freakish wild animal preserve, and the wolves have risen to prominence and have taken over.
Really? Wow. See,
Yes.
now I heard that Chernobyl was quarantined, obviously, because of the radiation.
Yes.
So would these be mutant wolves?
Well, exactly my question. My goodness, what's going to happen over time?
Super smart mutant wolves? They're just coming to get us.
Exactly. Working together for world domination.
You never know. You just never know.
Oh, you surely don't. Also debuting last night, boy, what a week this is, between Walking Dead, American Horror Story Hotel, and Supernatural is back.
Good show, man. Supernatural's a great show.
Really great season 11 premiere last night. And they're dealing with this new big bad that's called The Darkness. And The Darkness predates even God. Think about that.
Whoa. So the darkness is older than God.
Older, literally, than God. And what they've done that's very interesting is this darkness thing, they have included a personification of the darkness in the form of this very, very hot young woman.
Well, of course,
And
if you got the
because
darkness.
Dean Winchester inadvertently released the darkness. He didn't do it on purpose, that's for sure. But it was released when the Mark of Cain was removed from him at the end of last season. So this personification of the darkness, this woman, feels totally in Dean's debt. So this worst thing in all the world has a crush on Dean Winchester.
Gee, that'd be great, wouldn't it? I know you're horrible and all, but man, you are so irresistible. Oh, I realize.
So Dean has an inappropriate relationship, once again.
Well, once again, I mean, come on. You know, who hasn't fallen for the wrong girl?
Well, I'll tell you, Dean never seems to fall for the right girl.
No.
Or even just friendships. Like, he was super good friends with a vampire. That annoyed everyone. Sam didn't trust him. He ended up eventually proving himself. But still, a vampire.
Well,
and they've
you
made
know.
friends with demons. You know.
Those guys just cannot.
The King of Hell!
They-
Crowley, the King of Hell. You don't make pals with him.
They just can't stay away from this bad stuff, man. Come on, we're having to love and light. Come on, love and light.
What the fruit? I agree. All right, so we were talking about haunted houses. Do you know what the very, 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 very first, and it was modest, by golly, haunted house at a theme park was, where it was, and when it was? Do you know?
I think I've heard this one before. It was, I want to say it was like 40 years ago, wasn't it? 50 years ago?
Very good. You were
And
very close.
was it not Scary Farm?
Well, it was, yes, you're looking at it. Yeah, it's Knott's Berry Farm, and it was 1973. It was a very, very modest first foray into a haunted attraction.
It was
But
a
did
guy
really
with a
well.
mask.
It did really well, and by the next year, they went by 74. They went way more all out, and they've been at it ever since.
See, you should open one of those.
Well,
you're missing your calling.
I know, I may be.
You should.
I'm not really particularly interested in actually scaring the crap out of people per se.
No, but you have other people do it for you. You're just the guy
you would have other people, but I'd love to do the design. You know, I'm really so much more about atmospherics, and I'm about spooky and uncanny and even mystical rather than just downright gross. You know,
Yes.
I really am not that interested in a bunch of body parts.
Sure,
it's just
sure.
not that interesting anyway.
horror
you know?
is left better to your imagination.
I agree.
You know.
I mean, there's times when you got to have it. It's visceral. It's
Well, yeah, but Alfred Hitchcock knew that, and he used that probably better than anybody.
you never. I mean, everyone knows this by now. I'm sure you do, but you never see her being stabbed.
No,
in the shower scene.
No, and you know, I was interviewing Toby Hooper some years ago, and we were talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre and how it got such a bad rap and how it's so gory. And he says, yes, there are some gory parts, but the blood is actually very, very minimal if you actually watch the movie. The blood is actually
mostly
very
psychological. It is terrifying. And well, look at Night of the Living Dead. I mean, it's black and white.
And I asked him why so little blood. He says because we couldn't afford it.
Well, the remakes, of course, have not had that problem. That's for sure. So yes, we must salute Knott's Berry Farm, the longest running and the very, very first at a theme park. Now, can you imagine a theme park without it? I mean, that's a substantial part of their annual income.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it allows them to stay open all the way up till the 1st of November.
Yep, exactly. I mean,
At least on weekends.
Man, that is smart marketing, smart work. I mean, they really were really the forerunners in this industry, and they've taken it, and they've been the ones that everybody compares themselves to.
Okay, one last thing here. We're running out of time, bumping up against the top of the hour, and then we're going to talk Halloween. Let's talk Halloween right before that. We've got a really cool infographic that gives us the whole history, the key dates and key traditions in the history of Halloween. Do you know how far back Halloween goes?
Oh, I think the Druids, doesn't it? Not Druids. Yeah. No, the Celtic, right?
They were
Celts.
Druids, yes.
Yes.
I mean, basically the same thing, yes.
Yes.
They were a subset of the Druids. Wait a minute. Yes, I mean of the Celtics.
All right.
All right. So anyway, yes, it's at least 3,000 years.
Wow. They've been around a long time.
Long time.
A long time. That's really interesting.
And the event known as, which is worshipped or which is experienced today as we would pronounce it Samhain in English. In Celtic, I guess it's something more like Samhain
was their deal,
right? And that can be very specifically traced over 2,000 years.
Wow!
So it's amazing.
Who knew?
And some of those traditions, like wearing masks and even going door to door, those traditions go all the way back.
Wow, interesting. Very, very interesting. But we got to get out of here because we're going to play the Fox News. We come back. We talk Halloween business aspects. Don't go anywhere. Be right back right after this.
This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Lisa Brady. The frontrunner to be the next House Speaker has just dropped out of the race. Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern live on Capitol Hill.
Just as House Republicans were gathering for a closed-door conclave to select a nominee to replace John Boehner, Republican leader Kevin McCarthy dropped out, delaying any vote for House Speaker for now. McCarthy was the frontrunner, but did not have the support of a few dozen conservative lawmakers who are throwing their support behind little-known Florida Republican Daniel Webster. It left in serious doubt if anyone could muster the full 218 votes needed to win the Speaker's gavel when the full House votes later this month. That vote is scheduled for October 29th, one day before Speaker Boehner has said he'll step down. Lisa.
Jared, House Democratic Caucus Chair Javier Becerra moments ago.
I do know that this comes at a really bad time because we're very close to some very important deadlines, so this chaos and inaction won't help us get a budget in place.
There's been no specific reason given yet for McCarthy's withdrawal, though Democrats had pounced on his recent comments about the Benghazi committee. He's speaking now and saying so far that Republicans need a fresh face to unite. A new flood nightmare in the midst of South Carolina's devastation. Fox Radio's Evan Brown has this live.
And Lisa, the bloated rivers of South Carolina are about to strike again.
We have been through the first big wave. We are about to go through the second big wave.
Governor Nikki Haley warns the state's lower elevation areas, and most of them will soon be inundated by the same swells that left other parts of the state in ruin.
In the next 12 hours, Georgetown will start to flood. It will get worse. And it's going to last up to 12 days.
And emergency managers are reminding people not to go out on roadways, but to evacuate when told to do so, Lisa.
Evan, thanks. You're listening to Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced. Recapping the stunning developments on Capitol Hill, Majority Leader Kevin McCarthy, considered the frontrunner in the race to be the next House Speaker, drops out just as House Republicans were meeting behind closed doors to pick their nominee ahead of a full House vote later this month. The whole process now on hold, McCarthy just releasing a written statement. It says, quote, "Over the last week, it has become clear to me that our conference is deeply divided and needs to unite behind one leader." McCarthy goes on to say he's always put the conference ahead of himself, and he says, therefore, I am withdrawing my candidacy for Speaker of the House. Volkswagen's top U.S. executive apologizing to Congress and insisting the company is committed to the environment. So how did they end up cheating on emissions tests?
Myself and the majority of all Volkswagen employees, which is 600,000, asked the same question.
CEO Michael Horn says he hopes the investigations now underway will be able to answer it. The head of soccer's governing world body is suspended as president. Sepp Blatter also banned for 90 days by FIFA's ethics committee, along with European soccer chief Michael Platini, in more fallout from an ongoing corruption probe.
FIFA's ethics committee said it implemented the bans due to its ongoing internal investigation. The committee also suspended FIFA Secretary General Jerome Walsh. Swiss prosecutors opened a criminal inquiry into Sepp Blatter last month. They're investigating a TV rights deal and a $2 million payment to Platini. It follows a number of fraud charges made by U.S. authorities earlier this year.
Fox Radio's Kitty Logan in London. Blatter's lawyers say he'll present evidence to prove he's done nothing wrong. Wall Street right now, stocks turning lower. The Dow is down about 14 points. Oil still soaring above $49 a barrel. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News Radio.
Do you have a question for our guest tonight? Don't feel like calling the show? Not a problem. Email those questions to afterhoursam@gmail.com. Again, that's afterhoursam@gmail.com. And welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me,
Eric Olson.
Hey, Eric, man, something really, really cool is happening around the world. Halloween is all grown up as far as being a moneymaker.
It is a money-making
machine. It has blown up. I shouldn't say blown up over the past few years. It's always been a big holiday. But estimated $7 billion will be spent this year on Halloween.
Think about it.
That's according to the National Retail Federation.
You got costumes for every kind of person, from the largest and oldest to the tiniest. Then you have costumes for pets. You have candy.
Yes,
you have accessories. You have decorations. And then you have the money spent on things like haunted attractions, haunted travel, etc. There's a number of Halloween destinations now, like Salem, like the actual Halloween town in Oregon where the show was filmed.
Yep. Yeah, very, very interesting, because these people that work really hard to make Halloween good for each and every one of us, because if it weren't for the retail outlets selling, and especially the ones that are dedicated more, obviously Walmart's got their little section, you got Target that has a little section, but we have entire businesses dedicated in a lot of ways to Halloween, and that makes Halloween all the way around just better.
I'll tell you what, I am so excited. I've been thinking about this every year when it comes around, and we finally made it happen. As I said, I'm in Aurora, Ohio. Well, right here in Aurora, Ohio, right across from the former Geauga Lake, the now falling apart, decrepit, and creepy ex-Geauga Lake, we have the Odyssey. And the Odyssey, I'm going to find out because I don't even know, has been there for decades. And it is still a single store. It is a sole proprietorship. Well, I'm sure it's a corporation, but I mean, it is not owned by a large corporation. It is both online, of course, because this is 2015, but most of the business is still coming out of that brick and mortar shop. And I'll tell you what, they do such a good job with their decorating and setting things up that my son, who is now 11, still has to close his eyes to walk in the door.
That's all right. That's when you know you're having fun.
All right. So we have the owner of the Odyssey, again, right here in Aurora, Ohio, Mark Hain. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you very much, Eric. It's nice to be here. Thanks for asking.
So why don't you give us a little bit of the history of the Odyssey, and how long has it been there, and how did you become such an amazing Halloween focal point?
Well, we actually started in 1974 in Bedford. We started in Aurora in about 1980, and Halloween at that time was just in its infancy as far as retail. We got into it right at the beginning of when it was taking off, and it just has grown every year. And we became well known in this area for covering just about every aspect of Halloween. Kids' costumes, decorations, accessories, wigs, masks, beards, mustaches, costumes for everybody. And we stay on all the latest trends, and people know of us.
Do you find that Halloween has become more of an adult as far as older people's, I don't want to say older because I'm 41, but my generation, do you find that Halloween is shifting more away from the kids because, they're done trick-or-treating by 9 o'clock at night? Are you finding more of a clientele from the older generation than you are from the little kids?
You're exactly right. The adults have made it into a real party, whereas the kids, they do their trick-or-treating, they have their school parties, but the adults really get involved in it. They're the ones that really want to do all the decorating. They have all the big parties, they go to the bar parties, and that's where the majority of our sales are all adults.
Now that is really a change then. I mean, like we were talking just earlier, 74 was its infancy. And those early years, I'm sure it was primarily children buying these things.
Oh, it was.
And adults would kind of snicker and go, ha, 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 fun, fun, fun. They take the kids trick-or-treating and then go home. I think it's been a great shift because I think that, quite honestly, adults need to have something to look forward to, too.
That's right. And the adults really got into it. It took off slowly at the beginning, but boy, then it just mushroomed. And like I said, the adults are our biggest customers right now. We sell to a lot of kids. We have a lot of kids' costumes, but we find that the adults buy more, spend more, and they're really more into it.
How do you guys combat the rise of the pop-up stores? Because I know to me, it's just ludicrous. Within like 2 blocks of you, you have a Halloween City. And what's the other one over by Target? Spirit, I think?
Yes.
I mean, here we are. I mean, it can't be more than a quarter mile. Do you need 3 outlets? How have you combated that? And how has that impacted you as a not chain?
Well, it is frustrating that they come in. They're here for a couple of months at the most. They suck up as much money as they can. They bring in some of their help from out of town, and then they're gone. So very little of the dollars that are spent stay in the community. You know, we really stress buy local. And the difference between a store like that and a store like us, we're here to help the people. We're not here just to try and sell a costume without any care about what goes on once they leave the store. If you buy a costume and the size is wrong or there's a problem, we'll take it back. We'll let you exchange it. You know, we're here to help the customer. If you buy something at that store, when you leave the door, when you go out the door, you're done. That's it. It doesn't matter what's wrong with it, whether you like it or not, you cannot return it.
Sure. And
their policy is they just want to sell. They don't care about anything else.
Exactly. Customer comes last.
That's right.
And that's
we're
horrible.
All about customer service.
Exactly. I used to work at an old mom and pop hardware store, and by us were the giant like Home Depot and the Lowe's and things like that. We had this niche people that would only shop with us. A lot of niche people would only shop with us because they knew the customer service was good, and people are creatures of habit as well. Right. They like coming back to where they grew up.
That's right. And we really try and help the customers when they come in. There's a lot of people come in, they don't know what they want to be, or they have an idea, but they don't know what to buy to go along with the costume, and that's where our help is so much different than these pop-up stores. Our people are out of the sales floor helping and showing them things, letting them try things on, and that's the whole idea. We want to help them have a good experience.
What about with the decoration side of it? Do you guys kind of, if people tell you what they're trying to accomplish, do you help them kind of design? I mean, people go everything from home haunts to just more standard, Halloween typical decoration, but you guys carry all kinds of decorations.
We pretty much carry everything from the little nickel and dime items up into the things that are hundreds of dollars. We try and cover it all. And speaking of money, that's the other thing that a lot of our customers have learned. They'll shop over there, take a look at the other stores, and they'll come here, find the exact same item for 20, 30, sometimes 40% less. And those are our everyday prices. We're not running sales. Our everyday prices are considerably lower than all these pop-up stores. There's a misconception that a big store like that's nationwide, you're going to save a lot of money, and it's not true.
Yeah.
And a lot of our customers have come back to us and said that they've gone over there and they see how different the prices are, and they come right back here.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because certainly you are an institution. We should mention, though, since obviously you are drawing primarily from a local or at least regional consumer base, that you are online as well, and that's at OdysseyPrintwear.com, because you also create original printwear, right? You do your own printing and design?
Right. We have a big screen printing shop that's part of our business. We do a lot of work for national bands. We ship to tour sites all over the country. So the screen printing is a big part of our operation also.
Oh, that's a huge business on its own.
It is.
I went to school actually years ago when I was a young guy. I went to school for graphic design as well. And my gosh, the money that was made on these small screen print places, and yours is not small. I mean, I'm talking like one guy back there feverishly working. It really is a dying art too. I mean, because these big places are kind of taking over, but the quality from a place like yours, you don't get it from these mass media marketing areas.
That's right.
Your stuff is really made, and it's made on good quality items, and that and the money stays, like we talked about earlier, stays local. It stays.
Right. That's important.
You're helping schools. You're helping hospitals. You're contributing to the tax base.
That's right.
So what are the trends that you're noticing this year in costumes and decorating? What's particularly hot? What is changing?
Well, every year there's certain costumes that are hotter than others. Every year it changes. This year, because of the new Star Trek movie coming out, Star Trek is really going to be big. Ant-Man is big. Teenage Mutant Turtles. Elsa from Frozen is still going to be good. Last year was the big year, but it's still very popular. Minions are good. We also have all the sexy costumes, the adult-only costumes.
Sure.
We just cover everything. We have couples costumes like salt and pepper shakers, ketchup and mustard, plug and socket, things like that. Wizard of Oz, flappers, hippies, nurses, Flintstones. I mean, if you name it, we have it.
Well, man, I mean that's really it's all one-stop shopping. It really is.
And in addition to that, we also have carry-out beer and wine. So we have seasonal
Oh man, you
beers.
got it made.
We have wine like vampire wine, Dracula wine, and these are good quality wines. They're not just jokes. They're very good wines, but they're Halloween themed.
And I know you also have, because this is where I first heard Midnight Syndicate, I know you carry CDs as well. Yep. I mean, anything that is Halloween oriented, I know you guys really have it. What about in decorating? What are the themes? What are people doing differently now? Have you found over time, over the years, that people are doing more and more decorating, or is it just kind of different?
No, actually, it's more and more for sure. We sell more every year than the previous year. As far as the type of items, it really covers everything from the basic packages of spider webs that you can stretch out over walls and things, up to the big. We have giant creatures that you can hang on the outside of a building, that are 15 feet tall. Just about anything you can imagine. Fog machines, bubble machines, anything you can imagine, we try and carry it.
Man, I am definitely going to hit the website because I haven't bought for my children yet. Hit up that website and maybe order a couple costumes. Spread the love between you and the evil supply company. So, because we have him yet to come up. We have Atticus Regos joining us here shortly, and it's really interesting talking about the nuts and bolts, the retail side of Halloween and how it's really changed as things have moved on.
So, Mark, I know you need to get going. I think you have a really, really, really early trip taking off tomorrow morning. Really appreciate the time. And like I said, I'm so excited to finally be able to talk about the Odyssey right here in Aurora. I didn't even realize how long. My goodness, it's 40 years, 41 years. That really is amazing. What would you say, just to kind of wrap things up, what long-term trends have you noticed? Just kind of anything that comes to mind where you're seeing that large arc over the years or even the decades. What changes? What's just something that you've noticed?
I think over time, the big pop-up stores are going to start to fade to the wayside. I think people are going to return to the local stores. They realize that we're local, the money stays here, we carry everything that they do, and the prices are lower. So I think there's going to be a turnaround back to local stores.
I hope so, and I think you're probably right. I don't know if they're going to ever completely go away, but
no, they won't.
I think people will kind of see the light. I think you're exactly right that they assume because it's purely a seasonal thing and it's national that it's cheaper, but when they see that it's not, I think that obviously also makes a huge difference. I have a question because I know you guys start kind of busting out. I see you rolling them out. All the way back in August, you start getting the costumes out. What is the absolute peak, say, I don't know, week, maybe pick a week, for Halloween related sales? Because I honestly have no idea.
It's actually the last 4 or 5 days of the month. That's when it's the busiest. But we sell all of this stuff. We sell year round. We don't have it out just for the month of October. We sell it year round. People have theme parties throughout the year. Schools have plays that they need decorations and costumes for, whether it's Washington or Abe Lincoln or whatever. So we have things available year round. But those last few days of the month, that's the busiest time.
So everyone, I want you to go visit OdysseyPrintwear.com. Make sure you tell them After Hours AM sent you.
All right, Mark, anything else you want to let people know? Do you have what about your social media presence?
Well, we are on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and you've given the website. We've just got our new website up. We're adding things daily. Please visit that. You can call us, and we'll help you in any way we can.
All right, well, have a great trip tomorrow. I think you said you're heading to New England. Really great talking to you, and I'm very happy to hear things are going well over at the Odyssey, the venerable, the amazing Odyssey that still frightens my 11-year-old son.
It's an Ohio tradition.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Yeah, thank
really
you, Mark.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right, now moving on. This is a much more recent addition to my mentality. I discovered the Evil Supply Company via social media, as I discover so many different things.
I love the name. I do, man.
I love the name. I love the marketing. Look how cool it is. Look how cool the website is. It's at evilsupply.co. And what they do, and it's really two people I found out, Mr. and Mrs. Red Ghost are really the whole company. But look at what a great job they do with social media. I think perhaps, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I'm guessing that maybe even the Tumblr page might be the most visited, which is fairly unusual. Oftentimes, people either have Tumblr and that's their only outlet, or it's just kind of one more in addition to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest and blah, 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 blah. But boy, what a great job he does with, and this is under completely a different name, actually. Well, there's two. There's the Evil Supply Company Tumblr, where you're seeing kind of the process of how this all goes. But then there's also the Sam Hain post. What is the name of it? Anyway, I don't want to give away a bunch of stuff here before we bring in my new pal and good friend, Atticus Red Ghost. Welcome to the show, Atticus.
Thank you very much.
Hey, man, great website. I want to get that out there right away. Great website, great presence. Sorry, Eric, tumbling
That's
over
right.
my own. Unfortunately, I'm a bit under the weather, so you have to bear with me for a second there. But great website, great presence, great marketing. How does a nice guy like you get into kind of business like this?
I think that you're just kind of born into it, and it just evolves over time. The Tumblr has been like a really great presence for us, and it allowed us to reach a huge audience with a very limited marketing budget. And it's the main thing that we do is we look for the humor and the bureaucracy and evil, and just the sheer wonderful absurdity in it all.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I always think of Austin Powers. Is it going to be evil? Dr. Evil. And a great play on that.
Thank you.
So how
Tell us about your product line and how did that evolve? And just when we were talking earlier, you've only been around 3 years. I'd say you've really established yourself extremely well in that short period of time.
Thank you. For the product line, it really boils down to, when you think about Gomez Addams and he wants to write a love letter to Morticia, what is he going to write it on? What is going to inspire him? What is going to really capture the essence of what he wants to say? He's not going to go to Staples or Office Depot and just get plain paper. He wants something a little bit more
evil.
Exactly, like a little bit more special and a little bit more passionate for the person that he's writing for. And that's really what we're looking to cater to. We're looking to cater to people who have a particular taste and a particular aesthetic and make sure that their needs and wants are served.
Interesting. You know, I'm looking at the website, and you guys offer just a ton of diverse, like you were just saying, diverse things. And now, are you an online-only presence, or do you also have a brick-and-mortar store?
We are online only.
Okay. Now, that is the way of a lot of these companies like yours. That is the wave of the future. It really is. I mean, because the internet has opened up this market to so many, in such a different way now that, you know, before, during Halloween time, you were stuck with who you had in town, and that was it. And now the internet has opened it up so much that it actually brings competition, more competition to the forefront.
It can in a lot of ways, yeah. It is one thing that I've really come to, one thing that we've really come to realize over the last few years is that while there is competition between companies like ours, the pie that we're all, you know, snapping slices from is so large, and our fans are so loyal that it's not so much of a competition with each other as just making sure that we can make things and draw things and write things that people really enjoy. And as long as we do that, then our audience keeps coming back to us, and it allows us to expand and grow. And so we are eternally thankful for that. We have the absolute best fans. They're constantly giving us feedback about things that they're looking for or ideas and directions that we can go into. And it's really, it can be really tricky because we're online. It can be really tricky because your competitor is one Google search away.
Sure.
But it's to combat that, we really focus on customer service and just being really open about what do people need and making sure that that it's serving them.
Customer service, like we were all talking about before, it's customer service, because when you go to a place like Evil Supply Company, you go there with a mission in mind. I mean, it's not the casual buyer. I mean, I shouldn't say that. It's not, you just don't wander in. And that's what's great about it, is it's that targeted audience.
People looking for evil.
But no, I mean, because, my God, have you ever been to a Walmart during Halloween? It's horrid. I mean, there's just nothing
it's
there.
It's generic. It's extremely generic.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, I'm looking at your product line, and it's such cool stuff. I love your sensibility here. What are your most popular products? Let's just say right now.
The most popular products tend to be our greeting cards, and it's typically ghosts and anything that has to do with witches. They tend to be a little bit more popular than anything else. And it's, I think, with everybody loves ghosts, everybody loves ghost stories. We've all grown up with them, and with witches, it just gives something a little we have some people who are practicing witches, and then we have some people who just, especially around October, or somebody who has an October birthday, they like to add that flavor to the and that personality to whatever it is that they're buying and giving to their friends or their loved one.
How seasonal is your business? We heard from Mark that literally those last 4 days of October are their peak time. I'm assuming you're a little ahead of that.
We are. Early October and through mid-October is a huge bump for us, and then we get another bump right after Thanksgiving because we have people who want to celebrate, Christmas, or we were launching a holiday called Xmas, which is kind of like a secular Christmas with jack-o'-lanterns.
Okay.
So we have another bump in early December when people are coming back to us for their winter holiday needs, and then it gets a little bit quiet around the first quarter, and then it starts to ramp back up around there. And it's to balance everything out. What we've noticed is ghosts and witchcraft and things like that are really popular in the second half of the year. Sure. In the springtime, we do a little bit of work with mermaids and pirates and tall tales on the sea. Those tend to be really popular in the spring, and for some reason that we can't figure out, or we're desperately trying to figure out, summer is really big with mad science. I don't know, maybe it's the heat. Everybody
crazy.
Just for our killer robots and whatnot in the summer.
Yeah, that makes sense, because I remember trying to do those projects as a kid, make rockets, kill robots. It's perfect time. Green grass is green, and green grass only means one thing: destruction.
What was the very last thing you said? You were leading up to it, and then I had some sort of dropout. What was the last thing you said, Atticus, that you couldn't figure out why it was popular, when it was popular? What was that?
Yes, that's destruction.
In the summertime, Mad Science and Killer Robots tend to be the most popular thing. Like, there's a spike right around June and July, and I think that you guys are right. It's that the grass is green and everybody wants to get out and test their anti-gravity guns. And it's the best thing about anti-gravity is it'll always let you go wherever you need to go.
That's exactly right. I used to love anti-gravity when I was a kid. Come on, everybody wanted to be Buck Rogers or. That's a little before me, rather. Buck Rogers, that's a little old. But everyone wanted to be Captain Kirk. Everybody wanted to get out there and shoot their laser guns during the summer. That's just how it was. But
now, is this design work? Are you the designer? I know you said you work with your wife. Whose sensibility are we seeing?
The artwork is mine. The writing and ideas are a collaboration, and the artwork is mine.
Very, very good artwork. Very well done.
I love it. It's very iconic. You really do a great job of boiling down these symbols to very likable and very eye-pleasing forms. It's really pretty great. In some ways, I'm reminded not at all in a derivative way. But, I'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we got to go to break, though. We are running a little bit late for break.
More about that.
Pay some bills. Be right back right after this.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the Wacky Waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the Wacky Waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Howdy, folks. You like blood, violence, freaks of nature?
On a stormy Halloween night, 4 young people set out across the back roads of America.
What's that? It's a hitchhiker.
What, should we stop?
We can't leave right here in the rain.
In search of a mysterious figure known only as
Dr. Satan. You know anything about the legend of Dr. Satan?
Yeah, I can show you.
Dr. Satan! Ah, Dr. Satan!
what they uncovered
You ain't seen nothing yet.
is the most horrifying and shocking tale of carnage ever seen.
Well, I bet you'd stick your head in the fire if I told you could see hell.
You seen this girl?
Yeah, they want to play Nancy Drew with this local legend that people call Dr. Satan.
Stupid kids probably got themselves lost. Let's get out of this nut house.
The boogeyman is real. And you found him. It's showtime!
Please don't kill us.
From director Rob Zombie comes a journey into hell.
This can't be real. This can't be real. This can't be real.
House of 1,000 Corpses.
Hope you like what you see!
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to Tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Do you have a question for our guest tonight? Don't feel like calling the show? Not a problem. Email those questions to afterhoursam@gmail.com. Again, that's afterhoursam@gmail.com. And welcome back to After Hours AM, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me. Eric, man, I had no idea Halloween was all grown up the way it has become.
Halloween is very fun. It's very exciting, and I like the sensibility for the most part. I as we were saying, I'm not like super fond usually of the really gory stuff. That to me kind of crosses a line. Like when I'm looking around on the internet for cool pictures, or even just what I like in movies. Now, if it's, you know, a lot of the stuff, the gore is pretty fake, and that doesn't bother me.
No.
The ones that bother me are the more realistic ones.
Well, exactly, but we're talking to Atticus Red Ghost, and he is the owner and proprietor of Evil Supply Company.
My new obsession. And I'll tell you what we have to talk about now is the way I came across the company, you in the first place, and that is your other Tumblr, which is the Sam Hain Evening Post. Tell us about that and how that came to be.
The Sam Hain Evening Post, we were looking for an outlet that we could do like a little bit of research, and also for any products that external to the company that we found that we really liked and that we wanted to help advertise and that we wanted to, you know, spread the love. We wanted to build like an arm for that, and because Tumblr had been so good to us for our company, we stuck with that platform. The Tumblr community with Halloween and, you know, Dia de los Muertos and everything, and all of these wonderfully dark things. It has a really large, vibrant community, so it allows us to bring up, curate a lot of content and distribute it daily.
Interesting. I'm over here at the Sam Hain Evening Post, the Tumblr page. What a cool Tumblr page. Very well put together. Very striking.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it varies, and there's a lot of volume. I mean, it's everything from rather gentle autumnal pictures.
The leaves falling.
Leaves gently falling to the ground. Everything from that to, you know, to horror. We got several GIFs from Bram Stoker's Dracula I'm seeing here.
Interview with a Vampire. Come on, it's all there. Now I got to ask though, have you seen an uptick in people celebrating the Day of the Dead?
We have, yeah, and there's like one thing that we're looking to do in the course of the next year is work with a couple of writers and illustrators from Mexico to elaborate on that. It's not something that we can do internally because it's, you know, I'm from the South. It's not my culture, so it's something that I want to collaborate with over the course of the next year or so with people that this is their culture, and they can for, you know, no pun intended, but like, you know, flesh it out a little bit and expand the symbology and, like, you know, the rituals and the celebrations. And I want to use our brand to publish their artwork and, you know, to publish their writing, so that way we can all enjoy it more. I think it would be a lovely exercise. Because
I mean, Eric and I have both seen a big acceptance of Day of the Dead here in the States. I mean, it just seems like it's getting ready to really explode, really.
Worldwide. It's taking off worldwide. I
think
it's exactly because it's so colorful and it's so joyous, even though on the surface it's rather morbid and macabre, but the way it is actually experienced is so joyful and it's so life affirming, and the art is just, I love the art. It's beautiful.
I think you're right. I think it's on the verge of that explosion, and it's something that we definitely want to be a part of. And it's because of the color, it's because of the symbology, and I think that it's because it's something that it's always kind of it's been untapped and it's never been allowed to breathe or to be explored. It's something that we've all it's not something that we've all paid enough attention to. And if we can approach it, as a community, and if we can approach it where we allow it to unfold, I think that it'll be wonderful for everybody, because it's a beautiful holiday. It has amazing legends. It has amazing rituals. It has amazing.
I would agree with you. It really is. Yeah. It really is colorful. It's beautiful, and it has a good meaning. And it's not all about death. It's really more of a celebration of life.
Have you guys seen The Book of Life, the movie, the animated movie, The Book of Life? That really did a good job of tying into the concepts of Dia de los Muertos.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad you said it and not me, because I can't say it anywhere near as well as you do there, Eric.
Well, I'm from Southern California.
Well, that's right. So you got it all tied up. But, Atticus, this is a paranormal radio show at its heart, and it is the month of October. Atticus, what do you think about ghosts? Are you a believer in the paranormal?
I mean, in my business, you absolutely have to, and it's what I always tell people is if you don't believe in ghosts spiritually, at least believe in them editorially.
But have you had any experiences?
I do. I live down the street from 3 different graveyards. I chose my home location well, so it's one thing that I've had the absolute privilege of doing is making friends with the caretakers at the local cemeteries, and in exchange for volunteer work, cleaning up and whatnot, they'll let me do some writing in the middle of the night, and it's every once in a while you'll feel like your spine tingling, or you'll just see something out of the corner of your eye, and it's absolutely wonderful, especially in October. Always in October. We're always about in October.
Very, very interesting. So you'll go into graveyards and you'll write.
A lot of times, yeah. It's I exchange volunteer work with the caretakers, and they'll let me in after hours, or as the twilight is.
Well, I was gonna say, what a muse, man. For your kind of writing style, what a muse. It's right there for you.
It's been extremely handy, I have to admit. There's 3 of them right in a row, and so it's just a matter of where can I get in at what night. But yeah, it's been extremely helpful.
Do you have one of those things? Have you had one indelible experience, one that really comes to mind as your most profound with the paranormal?
This was happening in 2012 when I was, which was the year that I founded the company, and I took a trip to Salem, Massachusetts, and it was in the middle of a hurricane. And I can't stress enough to anybody who's interested in art how wonderful and terrifying it is to go into a cemetery in the middle of a hurricane and start a company like ours. And I was sitting there, being buckets of rain being poured on me, thinking to myself, this is fantastic. I love this. And this is rather foolish, but I didn't care. And I was I was huddling under an umbrella that was in the process of breaking, and I was staring at this giant gnarled tree, and I'm in the middle of the Pioneer Cemetery there, which is stunningly gorgeous. And I was trying to think of the stories, and all of a sudden this massive branch just fell, almost fell on me, and I'm like, okay. This is a good sign. This is a great sign. And it was like one of those things that I happened to be looking at the right place at the right time to watch this this tree kind of disintegrate. I just picked up my stuff and ran like hell.
I was gonna say, did you have one of those oh my god moments? I'm out of here, because if it's gonna do that to a branch, what's it gonna do to me?
Very much so, because it was in the absolute middle of a hurricane, and the place that I was staying is called the Coach House Inn, and I highly recommend it. It was a little bed and breakfast, and so I crawl back to the home base, and I was telling the innkeeper about all this happened, and she's like, oh yeah, that happens all the time, and it's just you got to be really careful. And I'm like, and she's like, somebody was looking out for you. That was the thing. She's like, somebody must have been looking out for you, because you can really get hurt out there. And then she wrapped me in a blanket and fed me cocoa and said, you can't go out for the rest of the night.
Well, at least she's looking out for you.
Somebody was definitely looking out for you.
Absolutely, they were.
That that was clearly an indelible experience. I like that a lot. I like your sensibility, both visually and then just the way you put all this together. And I can honestly say I've been a writer for since I was an early teen, and professionally since my late teens. I have never written in a graveyard.
You should give it a try, Eric. Give it a whirl.
I think I should, man. I'm losing out. I'm missing.
I know. Give it a whirl, man.
I think everybody should.
I've done a lot of things in graveyards, but writing's not one of them.
Exactly. Yeah, I love this angle they're taking in Scream Queens, where the main stud on campus, his real turn on is dead bodies. It's so sick. I cannot believe this is on Fox television during prime time. How the world has changed.
Yes, it definitely has, and it's more accepted. I mean, it's a good thing, because October, it's Halloween. We're talking to Atticus Red Ghost, and he is the proprietor and owner of the Evil Supply Company, and he's a heck of a writer in graveyards, too. Don't forget that point.
So, Atticus, what are your favorite spooky, haunted, seasonal media outlets? What are your favorite TV shows along those lines, or movies, or books, or whatever? What inspires you?
From a book perspective, it's been a tradition for years now to read The Halloween Tree by Ray Bradbury. And for movies, you can't go wrong with the old school Hammer films, Christopher Lee as Dracula. Those are my absolute favorite.
I love those movies as well. Those are pretty bloody.
Those
were scary, man. Those were not half-assed.
No.
The thing that I love Christopher Lee as Dracula. I think that he's probably my favorite, and it can be, those movies can be a little bit harder to find, but they're the best in my opinion.
Yeah, he's a very, very frightening character. I mean, you kind of forget because he got so old, and he was still very prominent. Lord of the Rings, and just kind of everywhere as a much older man, but. A lot of people don't realize how tall he was. He was 6'5".
Wow.
Very commanding figure.
Yeah, that is very tall. Very, very tall.
He had that voice, that deep, wonderful voice.
Heck yeah, he did. Him and Vincent Price, man. They both had the voice.
You got to have the voice. What about TV? What TV do you watch, if any?
I'm really enjoying the Scream, like you mentioned, Scream Queens, and I've started watching that. I'm really enjoying it. I'm curious to see where it goes. I like the campy humor to it that they're bringing.
It is funny. It really is.
Yeah, that's a great show, and those all the stuff, the media and the way things have come around, and really The Walking Dead really opened up this can of worms to be more mainstream with the gore and the horror, has only helped. Well, your business, really, hasn't it?
Very much so. We should probably write them a thank you letter.
Exactly. So it's made more of that forefront feeling now. It's it used to be reserved just for Halloween, not so much anymore, and that's been a really kind of a good thing.
Did you catch Lady Gaga last night in American Horror Story Hotel?
I missed it, actually. I was scrambling to pack orders, but it's something that I need to get into that because it looks amazing, and she brings such an amazing aesthetic to anything that she touches. Everything is big and loud and in a completely different direction than you thought possible, and I have to respect that. I absolutely have to respect that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it remains to be seen what her real quote-unquote acting chops are, but I don't think that's all that important because she's such a huge persona and she's very charismatic. Absolutely. So far, all she's done is, kill a lot of people and have really gruesome, gory sex. But hey, that's what the show's about, man.
Exactly.
Fun for everybody.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what a pleasure speaking with you. Let us please run through how everyone can get a hold of you through your various outlets, and let's just remind them, who you are and what you do real quick here. And we will let you go on your way. We're going to cover one more little kind of Halloween-y business of topic, but what a pleasure to talk with you. And like I said, I am so drawn to your sensibility, and I really just hope you continue to grow and spread like a virus.
Thank you very much. Our main website is evilsupply.co, and most of our writing can be found on tumblr.evilsupply.co. And we are, we look to publish several times a day, and welcome everybody. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, no, thank you for coming on, everyone. And, Atticus Red Ghost, go check them out over there, Evil Supply Company. You're not gonna be disappointed. I was over at the website. What a heck of a website. Again, Atticus, thank you so much for coming on the show, and we'll be talking to you real soon.
Thank you for having me. Have a great night.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
But moving on here, Eric, we got to talk about the business of movies. What kind of Halloween would we have without the movies? I mean, really, when you think about it.
It would be a very diminished Halloween.
And from Redbox.
What's interesting is so many of our traditions have really been reinforced by movies. I just read this. I was not aware of this. I knew that the UK and especially England kind of lagged behind the US in terms of really embracing and celebrating Halloween. Do you know what one event really spread Halloween and the celebration of Halloween in England, and how recent it was? And I will give you a hint. It was a movie.
Oh boy. Oh wow. The Exorcist?
Not a horror movie.
No. What was it then?
But a movie that has a very, very vivid and strong Halloween presence. E.T.
Yes. Yeah, I guess you'd be right. Absolutely.
So they saw the English, as well as, of course, the rest of the world, and the U.S. for that matter. But think about how strong all those scenes are. They're going trick-or-treating. The kids all go. They bring E.T. with them. You're seeing the mother dressed up, too, right? Remember, she was the hot cat?
I do. I do.
Dee, man, I used to love Dee Wallace.
Oh, heck yeah.
I still do, but, back in the day. So, she's in her little cat outfit or some version of cat. The kids are all trick-or-treating. So it was almost like a primer. It was a how-to. This is how America celebrates Halloween.
Yeah, it really kind of showed the world how we do it.
And immediately after that, the movie came out and was a huge, huge smash everywhere, but including England. Halloween became much more popular.
It really did. And Redbox got a hold of us just recently, and they gave us some facts and figures of what people are watching, and
let us know.
Really, what's funny is the facts and figures among those who watch scary movies. I want to tackle that right away. 92% prefer to watch scary movies at home rather than the theater. I like a good scary movie in the theater, to be honest with you.
I do too. If it's an event movie, you know what I mean? If it's something kind of special where you really want that great sound and you want that big screen, I agree. But, and that and the experience, of course, of having an audience with you. I remember going with my friends from work to downtown L.A. to see American Werewolf in London.
Great movie. Wonderful movie.
And it was. I mean, I still remember that. That is a vivid experience.
Great
being
movie.
In that theater, seeing the whole thing. It's such a perfect combination of horror and comedy. I mean, it is really scary and gory and
exactly.
gruesome.
And I have
hilarious.
Exactly. See, I have a home theater system, 1,000-watt Sony system with a 70-inch TV. So it's a lot like going to the theater anyway for me to watch a movie. But I still like getting the popcorn. I still like getting the candy, taking the wife out, that whole thing. And it's more of an event, like you said, than it is just going to the movie. And it's a night out, but 73% of the people, they watch scary movies with the lights off, which does not surprise me at all because, my gosh, watching a scary movie with the lights on is just ludicrous.
Well, it's rather self-defeating, isn't it?
It really is, and half of them will not watch a scary movie alone. while the other half are spooked by strange noises after watching the scary movie. 31% have turned off a scary movie because they were too frightened. 17% believe The Exorcist is the best scary movie of all time. And 22% say that Freddy Krueger is the scariest movie villain of all time. Frightens them the most, rather. I don't know. I never found Freddy to be all that scary, to be honest with you.
No, he's kind of jokey, you know.
You know, kind of campy humor. You know what I mean? I never found him to be that scary.
He's an icon, but yeah, I agree. I do not find him the most frightening. There are others I find, probably the ones who don't talk very much.
Yeah.
Their muteness is more frightening than how glib he is.
I think what gets me the most, like a movie like, for instance, Devil's Rejects. Because that family could exist.
I know what you mean. Mutant, cannibal.
No, but I mean, they're not even mutants. They're just a band of outlaws.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess, but sure. Yeah, you're right. I mean, real evil is always more frightening than pretend evil. Or evil which could be real is always much more frightening. I think that's the part about The Exorcist that is such a hook for people. Like my wife, she will not watch that no matter what. She doesn't want to deal.
Well, that's funny because I got the top 5 scary movies.
Tell us.
Number 5, Silence of the Lambs. That's right, Hannibal Lecter and his Chianti sauce. Number 4 is Halloween. Number 3, The Shining, which I like The Shining. I like the Stanley Kubrick version. I know a lot of people rip on it. I liked it. Number 2, Nightmare on Elm Street. Number 1 is Exorcist. The Exorcist is number 1 scariest movie of all time.
Well, what it does is it because of the craft and how well done it was, especially at the time, as far as the effects and the acting. I mean, it was just, it's very quality. The writing, it was just very, very well done. And what it did is it made kind of the ultimate supernatural horror, namely demonic possession, and not just demonic possession, but demonic possession of a child.
Exactly.
And it made it seem plausible. So that's very frightening. That is an existential dilemma.
And that's the movie that gave the Ouija board such a horrible rap because it was in the movie all of 5 seconds.
Right. Well, that's supposedly the door, the portal.
I mean, it was just kind of funny how they, it's a good movie. Do I find it as scary today as I did when I was a kid? No, I do not.
Well, I mean, is there anything that would
No, unfortunately, there is not. I mean, my first scary movie I ever watched by myself was Night of the Living Dead.
Well, that was something.
It scared the hell right out of me, man.
Oh, I'm sure.
I still remember
to this day. It still packs the punch.
Oh, yeah.
But again, it's not the gore. It gets into your mind.
Well, Mom and Dad were gone for the night. I was home all alone in the basement with just me and the TV and a VCR back when VCRs were first coming onto the market. Had a copy of Night of the Living Dead. Had no idea what I was about to watch. But man, that thing grabbed me right by the throat and it did not let go. I was scared for a month.
I absolutely believe it. It still really packs a punch. My younger daughter, the 15-year-old, she auditioned for the play version of it, and she was just horrified by the script of the play.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at the time, that movie was really groundbreaking. And it was during...
It still is.
Well, yeah, and especially it was during the 60s, during a lot of turmoil. You had Martin Luther King that was murdered near the opening of the movie. Not near it, but I mean, the opening of the movie happened in that same era. And so there was a lot of unrest in our culture, and really it was more of a social commentary than it was a horror movie.
Absolutely. It was about race relations, it was about the Vietnam War, and absolutely. And that's of course what Romero always says. He says, "Oh, these other stupid zombie movies, they're just monster movies.
Yep.
Mine are social commentary." Certainly Dawn of the Dead was also very good social commentary.
It was against buying stuff at the mall.
Consumerism.
Exactly. Your number one horror movie is what, Eric?
Man, it's hard. It depends how you define it. I kind of have different categories. I have what I perceive as Halloween shows or movies, so stuff we watch very specifically in October, and not all of that is horror. A lot of it's kind of thematic, and there's some humor often and whatnot.
Sure.
But I mean, as far as my favorite or what I find most frightening,
I don't know. I don't know, because see, we're at the end of the show, and I really just want to learn more about you. A Night of the Living Dead, for sure, is my number one horror movie.
I like The Exorcist. I think it was very, very well done. There's no question about that. I think it's a great movie that is also extremely frightening. People very often mention the first Halloween movie. I agree that it's groundbreaking, but we just watched it. I haven't watched it yet this year, but we watched it last Halloween. And, it's not that scary anymore.
No.
You can see how it defined that whole genre.
Oh, absolutely. A slasher movie. I mean, that was the really one of the beginning movies, the archetype for the slasher movie, the modern slasher movie.
I think The Shining is very frightening, and I agree with you. It's very well done.
Yep.
I don't really think of The Silence of the Lambs as a horror movie. I think of it more of like a crime movie.
I do as well.
Different category, you
but,
know.
Eric, we got to get out of here, man. We are actually running way over, but join us next time, guys, where you won't be disappointed because this October will shock you on After Hours AM. But until then, take care of each other, love each other, and keep being scared. Thank you for listening to this edition of After Hours AM, and please remember to like us on Facebook and also follow us over on Twitter.